We're going to resume. And then, I think we've got, so welcome ladies, if you're coming in, we're excited to have you in the Zoom room. We're streaming live from Zoom today, and we love having some of you in here so you can ask questions. Caitlin, once we get going, do you want them to hold those, or do you want to ask them as they come up? How do you want to handle that?
They can totally ask as they come up. You just kind of have to help me if they're in the chat or something, just make sure I know, but totally interrupt me. That's fine.
Ladies,
Okay,
we are
perfect.
live.
All right, we are live. So, welcome, Moms in Real Estate, to a special Wednesday masterclass. I'm actually so excited for today's masterclass because honestly, this is one of the biggest conversations happening in real estate right now, and specifically in Moms in Real Estate. And that is, how do we actually grow our business without being glued to our phones 24/7, chasing leads, having these aggressive lead sources that are like annihilating our profit margins and robbing us of our peace, and feeling completely burnt out. And so this is exactly where Caitlin comes in. Caitlin has littles, and she has a life-giving business, and she actually has more business than she can handle coming in. And so she's going to walk us through this. So hi, friend. I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I love presenting on YouTube to anyone, but especially this group because it's such a great tool.
It is. And I always am so excited about this. And I can't imagine that we don't have a little bit of everybody on here. The person that's like, how the heck do I do this? The person that's like, okay, I know I need to do it, but I need like some accountability and like some movement behind that. And then maybe the person that's doing it but needs more technical skill. And so today I think Caitlin's going to talk a little bit more to the beginner, but what I love, and you'll want to stay tuned to the end, is that she's going to have a way that you can actually kind of start making some more momentum in this. It's
Yes,
obviously a Wednesday. I'm like, maybe I could get these words out.
it's a tough one. It's the double M, more momentum.
Okay, well, we love Randy isms, but I will let you take it away and get us started, friend.
Sure, yeah. Let me try to share my screen here. I think I'm able to. Can everybody see that okay?
Yep, perfect. Good to go.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you for having me. We are going to talk about YouTube today. And like Randy said, a lot of this is getting started on YouTube. But if you are already on YouTube, this is kind of like what I hear from a lot of people is I started a channel, I just didn't know what to do with it. So this is for you if that's you. So let's jump in. So like I said, this training is for agents who want to get on YouTube. They just don't know where to start or what to post. And that's usually what I hear the most often. You want to start your channel, you don't know where to begin because it feels more complicated than like Instagram or TikTok. You've started a channel, but it's stalled out because you just didn't know what to do. And so now you want to jump back in. Or maybe you feel overwhelmed by all the tech you think you need and the time that it might take. So I'm going to go through a lot of that stuff today that's going to make it a lot simpler for you if you're in that place. And then also, I'm not sure. I was kind of assuming a lot of people are newer to YouTube, but I would love to know from you guys if you can put it in the chat. And I'm not sure if I'm able to see this, Randy, but I'd love to know like where you're at. So if you are this, put a one in the chat if you're like at these beginning stages, you've been thinking about starting your channel, but haven't actually hit record yet. Or maybe every time you sit down to start, you feel overwhelmed by the tech or ideas or where to begin. And you keep watching other agents crush it on YouTube, and you're like, I want to do that. I just don't know what to do. So if that's you, if you could put a one in the chat for me, I'd love to know if we've got anyone in that camp here. Um, yes, a one for sure, Michelle. And then
Also,
a two.
sorry, Caitlin. Also, we had about five on the live stream. The ones just popped up really fast as well.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Yes. So I'm talking to you guys. And then a two, maybe you started a channel, posted a couple of videos, but they've been collecting dust at this point. You can't seem to stay consistent. You know it could change your business, but you just feel like it's impossible. So put a two in the chat if you're feeling that, because either way, today we are going to cover that information. We're going to talk about how we can simplify YouTube, actually get you started, get you going, and realize that it's not as difficult as you might think it is. Okay. Um, And like Randy said, I'd love if you'd stay till the end. I have an exciting announcement I want to share with you guys, exclusive to the Moms in Real Estate group. So, if you're not familiar with me, just to introduce myself, my name is Caitlin. I'm a real estate agent, obviously. I am also a YouTube coach, and I'm a mom of two boys. We just had our second son in October. So, still getting in the groove of being a mom of two. So, for all of you with multiple children, you know what I'm talking about. This rocked my world more than I expected, but we're good. We're getting into a good groove. I started my YouTube channel in 2019, and today it's actually the main source of my business. But it has changed so much over the time that I started it because when I began, I did not know where to start. I did not know what to do. I didn't do any coaching or training. I just kind of learned from free resources here and there, threw spaghetti at the wall to see if it stuck. And lucky for me, it finally did, but it took a really long time. And I could have shortened that gap so much had I just worked with someone who could show me the way. So when I think back on my YouTube journey, I'm so grateful I started it. And I wish I had just done something a little bit more strategic from the start to get me there faster. But for any of you who have a channel, you have probably gotten a message like this. And this is so common from YouTube to get a text, an email, or a phone call that is saying these things. In fact, I just got an email on Saturday afternoon that looks just like this. I responded to it. We did a buyer consult on Sunday, on Mother's Day, because they said they had a short timeline and we got a buyer broker signed. And we're seeing homes this weekend. So that is the power of YouTube. These types of messages are just gold and they never get old. It's so nice to not have to chase down your leads and actually have people reach out to you. So that is one of the reasons why I love YouTube. But aside from that, I spend maybe 3 to 4 hours a week on YouTube. I post only one video a week. And I think this is important because a lot of us are using Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, short form, which I love. Don't get me wrong. But you got to be honest, if you were going to post one short form video on that platform a week, I don't think you'd be getting anywhere, right? You're not getting enough engagement and traction on that platform if you're only going to post once a week. But on YouTube, you do that. You get away with that and you build a great following and a great channel only posting once a week. Last year, I averaged about 20 leads a week coming from my YouTube channel. And since I started my channel, I've closed over 800,000 in GCI. And I just want to remind you guys, this is all free. You don't pay to play on YouTube. It is all free aside from whatever you might spend if you want a videographer or editor or, just your time, of course. But I'm going to simplify this. And so you don't have to have an editor or a videographer. So there's usually three main hurdles that I see agents facing when they want to start their channel and they don't, right? There's usually three main things that are holding them back. One of these things, or maybe all three. But first of all, the tech overwhelm. So I hear this a lot. I don't know what gear I need. I don't know how to start. I don't have a gimbal. I don't have a camera. We're going to talk about that more today and simplify it so you realize you don't need hardly anything to get started and still have a great channel. Idea paralysis. This is the other one. I don't know what to post. That's what I usually hear from people. I would love to start a channel. I'm just not even sure what to post. So we're going to talk through that today. And then consistency is the other thing. It's going to be too hard for me to do this every single week and post videos every single week. So we'll dive into that as well. So today, what I want to cover with you guys are these main things. First of all, why now is a great time to get started on YouTube. The tech you actually need to start your channel, how you're going to overcome that idea paralysis, and how you'll stay consistent posting on your channel once you actually get started. So I know you guys are here because you know the power of YouTube is insane, right? You wouldn't come and spend your time here if you didn't have a feeling that this could be a good lead source for you. And you're exactly right. These statistics are so powerful, and I always love to share them, especially that 81% of businesses are using YouTube, because that tells us as, real estate agents, we are also a business. We should be on YouTube as well. All these other businesses see value in it, and we can do the same thing. But one of these stats that really sticks out to me is the fact that YouTube has 325 million paid subscribers, which is more than Netflix. And if you remember, I said you don't have to pay to be on this platform. So you literally have the opportunity to put your content out there for free to connect with your ideal client without paying a cent. And you have a larger reach than if you had a Netflix show. So when you think about it that way, it's like, why? Why would I not try this? Why would I not do this? Right. And even more so, in 2025, 87% of viewers have bought from a brand after seeing it on YouTube. And this graph goes all the way back to 2015. It was over 70% consistently. This tells us that people come to YouTube and they're ready to make a buying decision. They're willing to buy something. Now, we're not selling things off our Amazon storefront for $25, right? But working with us and buying a home is a much bigger investment. But the idea is that they are searching for information and they are open minded to actually making a purchase. So, YouTube is a powerful place to be. And one thing I didn't mention either is all of this gets indexed to Google because YouTube is owned by Google. So, every video you put on there is only helping you come up in Google searches when people are searching for your location or any other keyword related information for real estate and your location, right? So, I really want you guys to think about this. Would it change your business and thereby change your life if you only had to spend a few hours a week on prospecting? Most of us have kids, right? Moms in real estate, and we know how time consuming children can be at any age. If you can just shrink the amount of time you got to take to prospect and find your new business and still get the same amount of business, that would probably change your life, right? If you had consistent lead flow that you could rely on and you're not asking, where is my next lead going to come from? I'm starting to get worried. It's been a little quiet. Or your leads that you get actually converted to closed business, because that's also frustrating when you're chasing down leads and you're having a lot of conversations and yet no one is actually signing with you to go forward, right? So put a yes in the chat if this is true. Would that change your business and thereby change your life if these things were true? I think we all can say yes to this. And I have lived this. I used to be in that world where I was thinking, where is my next lead going to come from? I better hit the phones. Maybe I should sit in open house. And since my YouTube channel became the main source of my business, I don't have that worry anymore because it just consistently feeds me leads that I know will convert because I've built the trust. So, how do we do this? Let's talk about these 3 hurdles that I mentioned and break each one of them down. So, starting with what is the tech that I need in order to get started? And I kind of want to tell you it's lack of tech, to be honest, because we're keeping it simple. When you think about the priorities for any sort of video, at the top, I'm going to tell you it's clear audio. Because if you think about it, I don't know about you, but I use YouTube a lot for listening to podcasts. And I don't always watch the podcast, but I listen sometimes when I'm driving or I'm working out. So if you don't have clear audio on your video, someone may be trying to just listen to it and not watch it. And the audio is really going to kill the deal for them, right? So clear audio is a priority. Good lighting is the next priority because if you just look like a dark face and they can't connect with you if they are watching, that's really just not going to help, right? So we want to hear you, we want to be able to see you. And then finally, we want your video to be stable. We definitely don't want this to look like my 3-year-old FaceTiming with his grandparents because that is enough to get everybody seasick. We're not doing that. And don't set your phone up on like a stack of books and hope it doesn't fall. Get a tripod. We'll talk about it, but stable video. But this is so simple, you guys. Clear audio, good lighting, stable video. You're good to go. So we are going to start with using your phone. And I know everyone's said this before, but I'm very serious. You don't need a camera. You don't even need a crappy camera. You just need your phone. And I don't care what kind of phone you have. Use your phone to shoot video. And for YouTube, it's horizontal. So you're going to flip it on its side to film your YouTube videos. For audio, there are a lot of very easy, low-cost lavalier mics. This is one that I like from Amazon that you can get for like $40 or less. So that's how we're going to achieve clear audio. If you ever decide to enhance your setup, you can always get a camera, you can always get a better mic, but this is a good starting point. The tripod is important. Get a tripod. It's not that expensive. Have a place where your phone is not going to fall down while you're filming. In terms of lighting, this is a picture of a ring light. You don't have to get a ring light. There's a lot of different types of lights out there, box lights, key lights, all different things. Or you can just sit in front of a window if you have a good background. Just make sure your face is illuminated and it's easy to see your face, your expressions, that kind of thing. So lighting is key as well. And then finally, a lot of people talk about teleprompters, and this is super easy. I mean, to the most simple degree, you can put your script in a Word document on your computer. You can blow it up big and read from it with your phone sitting above the computer. And then scroll up when you need to move to the next, or scroll down when you need to move to the next paragraph. You're likely going to have to edit it anyway, so you can clip out those sections where you're moving it. That at a very, very basic level. There's also free teleprompter apps on your phone, free teleprompter apps on the desktop that you can get as well. So keeping it simple, right? If any of this is helpful, scan that QR code. That will take you to Amazon. And I've collected a few different things that I recommend, some that I've used, some that have been recommended by others who have used them, just very basic stuff. And then I also have a lot of the things that I use, the camera I use and microphone, lights, all of that stuff. So my setup is on there too.
Caitlin,
All right. Yeah.
real quick, we had a couple questions, so I just want to pause for 1 second. One that came in from the live stream was, honestly, I hate the idea of feeling like I have to put my whole life online to grow my business. I don't really want to show my kids my home or constantly showing up, but it sounds like YouTube can be more education and value driven versus lifestyle driven. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely. In fact, I would say YouTube does better, not lifestyle driven, in like your lifestyle, right? But you can use YouTube without your family in it, without your day to day in it, and really make it more of an educational standpoint. My channel is very related to market updates and current events, and that's all I talk about on there. You could also just do neighborhood tours or even just home tours. There's a number of ways you can do it, but it doesn't have to be that vlogging lifestyle in order to get, a following and some interest.
Awesome. She said you just made her whole day.
Yay!
She's
I'm so
ready.
glad.
So love that. Okay. All right. Keep your questions coming, ladies, in the chat. And Caitlin, you're good to keep going.
Okay,
Oh, I think we
perfect.
might
Yep.
have the same flask. I think we might have the same one.
Oh, maybe.
I
Well,
think,
mine is like
yeah,
country
we have
kind
this.
of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have the
yeah.
same exact one.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just put a couple stickers on mine.
I
Sorry,
love that.
so excited.
Yes.
All
I
right.
I
How about
saw that
questions?
option and I was like, "Hey, why don't we have a little bit of fun here instead of the normal?" So,
That's exactly
love
what I
it.
did. I love that. All right, keep going.
All right. Perfect. So second obstacle that we talked about, how to overcome this content paralysis. And I would say this is probably the majority of what I hear from people thinking about starting their YouTube channel. So you have no idea what to post. Maybe you're posting on Instagram, maybe you're posting on TikTok, and you have an idea there, but when it comes to YouTube, you go totally blank, and you're like, how am I going to post a long form video? Type content in the chat if this is you, because I have a feeling this is a lot of people. And I don't know if it is the long form aspect of it that makes it daunting, or if it's just, I don't know what happens on YouTube. So I don't know where I fit into the mix. But either way, I'm going to fix this for you. Okay. So first we need to talk about the YouTube algorithm. And with the algorithm, I can't say I know every, in and out of the algorithm because they're obviously very complex. But what I can tell you is generally how it works. And once you understand this, it helps you understand how you make content for YouTube. And this is very similar to other platforms as well. Many of them work in the same way. But with YouTube, usually a viewer will search to watch something on YouTube, or they get on YouTube and their homepage suggests something to them. So they select that video, they watch it. Then YouTube starts to suggest another video to them. Sometimes it's the same topic, or sometimes it's another video by that same creator. And you're like, oh, okay, I'd like to watch that video too. So you watch that video. Every time you're watching these videos, YouTube is understanding more about your viewing behavior. And YouTube is also realizing that your viewing behavior is very similar to thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people, right? Because what you're watching and the sequence you're watching it in is very similar to what other people are doing too. And so YouTube is saying, if you like this, all these other, let's say, 10,000 people are probably going to like this video too. So then YouTube starts suggesting that content to those other 10,000 people. And that's really the key there, because if YouTube doesn't understand what your video is about, YouTube can't figure out who it needs to be shown to. And the way that you really start to build your following on YouTube is you let it do its thing. You let it snowball for you, because you want to get YouTube suggesting your videos to more viewers, because they know better than you do on who's going to enjoy your content. It's constantly analyzing what people are watching, the sequence they watch it, the creators, the type of videos, if they watched the whole thing, if they clicked off early, all of that stuff. It's adding all that data into the algorithm, and then it knows your content will fit well into what so and so watches. So when we know this is how the algorithm works, right? It has to understand the video well enough to decide who it goes out to. That's why we realize our client avatar is so important. We have to realize who we're trying to reach with our videos. So, in order to be very clear with YouTube about who we're trying to reach, we actually need to define who that person is. And most of the time, when I talk to agents about starting their YouTube channel, their ideal client is buyers in Phoenix, just for example, right? Or buyers and sellers in Phoenix. And I can tell you right now that is far too broad if you want to find any traction on YouTube. You need to define your client avatar very specifically, almost to a creepy level, right? So how do we do that? Demographics, first of all, many of us know about this. So age range, gender, income range, education, location, and family status. Thinking about who this person is. Are they married? Do they have kids? Are they a move up buyer, or are they downsizing? Do they have a work from home job? Do they commute for their job? All of those things related to their, lifestyle. And that's where it gets more into those psychographics, not just lifestyle, but their motivators, their beliefs, their values, any fears or concerns they have. Because this is where you can actually start to get into their mind of what's on their mind. What questions do they have? What fears do they have? What objections might they have to moving forward, to move forward with working with you, or move forward with buying a home or selling a home, right? So if you think about it, when you're thinking about your client avatar, someone who is a move up buyer with two young kids is going to consume very different content than someone who is downsizing and has been an empty nester for a long time. They maybe lost their spouse. They're downsizing to get into a smaller place. They're thinking about, where they're going to spend the rest of their life. That content is very different than what's going to attract, that move up buyer with a young family. So this is why all buyers are not the same. All sellers are not the same. The content is going to speak differently to who you're trying to attract. And so until you can actually figure out who you're trying to attract, you're not going to be able to figure out what content you put out there. And this is kind of that cycle that people go through. I don't know what to post. I don't know what to post. Well, it's because you don't know who you're talking to. And you've got to get really specific on exactly who that person is. So I have a little tool that can help you guys. If you want to scan this QR code, I have a client avatar workbook you can download. It takes you through a bunch of questions that will help you really get down to exactly who this client avatar is. And that will help you craft your messaging to that person specifically. So feel free to download that. I'll give everyone just a second before I change the slide here. And what's great once you realize that is the content that you make from here, it just becomes so much easier because you always have this filter of like, does this resonate with my ideal client or my ideal audience? And if it doesn't, then it's not the video you want to make because YouTube's not going to push it out to the right people. It's not going to understand who it's for. Your people who watch your videos aren't going to resonate with it. So it doesn't make sense to move forward with that. So it kind of keeps that shiny object syndrome like out of the picture because you can really focus on what's actually going to be for my audience, right? Now, you want to break this up into content segments. So, generally, we see things like educational content, behind the scenes or vlogging type content, trending, newsworthy, and then engagement content. And you just want to pick, 1 to 3 of these segments because otherwise it gets too confusing and hard to like keep up with everything. But educational content, tutorial videos, explainer videos, just information videos to your ideal client. Behind the scenes could be video walkthroughs and tours of whether it be new builds or resale homes, whatever it is that your ideal client might be interested in. Trending and newsworthy videos. This could be market updates, talking about current events, real estate news, that type of thing. And engagement content does really well when you do have a subscriber base. If you go live on YouTube, you can do Q&A sessions with your audience and really engage with them because you can get some really loyal followers on YouTube. So pick 1 to 3 of these segments, and then you're going to rotate through these segments every week when you post. So you might post an educational video 1 week, a market update video the next, and then a behind the scenes type of video the following week. And then you go back to the educational content. So this helps you plan out your content. If you just pick one, that's totally fine. Like I said, my channel is market updates only. So all I do every single week is market updates. And my audience says they wait for me to post on Thursdays because they're so excited to hear all of the things I have to say about the market. And it's just funny to me because it can be so boring. But for the people that really are interested in making a buying and selling move, market updates are very valuable. And they know I'm going to post every week. So just keep it focused. And if you pick one segment, that's great. If you want to do 2 different types of content segments, that's great. But make sure it all aligns with your ideal client avatar. I'll pause there for a second. Randy, any other questions?
Just monitoring all the things. Do you think YouTube works especially well for moms because they're craving actual online humans? I think a lot of us are actually craving that.
Yes. I think it works well for moms in a lot of ways, especially because it's a time saver. Also, because these leads are usually very serious. They already feel like they know you, and the conversion is easier. And you don't feel like you're wasting your time when you actually go out to show a house. You're not chasing someone down. You're not wasting your time with someone who may not work with you.
Okay, we have one other one. Honestly, one thing that's held me back, I think did we get that one? Sounds like the same thing, personal life. Sounds like the same thing. So basically they don't want to put their life out there. So it feels like we have a lot of moms that are, and I think I actually had somebody say to me this last week, I was talking to an agent and I was just, I was kind of frustrated. It's an agent on my team and I feel like they have so much potential and they have so much of a following on their social. And then she hit me with something that I really respected, which was just like, she's like, I'm just terrified to like put myself out there, my family out there. So it sounds like that's something that's bubbling to the top today is people are really loving the thought that they could build something online without it having to be personal. That was that question as well.
Totally. Yep. Yep.
So
You definitely
none of
can.
your content like involves your kiddos or anything like that, or do you sometimes bring them in for anything fun?
Nope, never have. Not on YouTube. On other platforms I have, but no. And when I first started my channel, I didn't have kids. And so I had dogs. I was a dog mom. I still have dogs, but they were my world. So I would add my dogs in and stuff like that because I was comfortable with that.
Right.
But I think that is something that we all have to be aware of because unfortunately there are a lot of, people with bad intentions out there and you don't like that vlogging lifestyle can be a little bit dangerous on how much you share. And that's not necessary on YouTube. People are coming to YouTube for questions to be answered, for information to learn something. So it's okay if all your channel is educational based. They're going to get a grasp of your personality in the long form. You don't have to show your house and your kids for them to understand that.
Love that. Okay. Michelle, real quick, I'll answer your question. Yes, it is going to be recorded and we will send an email out. And you'll want to make sure you absolutely come back and watch that because there's going to be an offer from Caitlin. And then the other one, I think you kind of alluded to it, Caitlin, was one thing I'm curious about. Would you say YouTube is more like building a searchable library of content versus the pressure of like, putting things out on social media regularly?
Yes, yes. So consistency is really important too. It needs to be a weekly posting thing so that you get YouTube to start to understand that you're there for the long run. But yes, it is about building on that. And then everything is, if you're building an evergreen channel, it's there forever and people will watch your videos 5 years from now and still get value out of it. Not that that can't happen on Instagram and TikTok because people do use those places as search engines as well. But YouTube is going to, when people just Google something, it's being pulled from YouTube. When people put into ChatGPT questions, Chat is looking up things on Google and sometimes YouTube too. I've actually put in questions to Chat and it has brought up my YouTube video to me as a source. And I was like, well, I wanted a different source than myself.
Right.
But it is, I think it's definitely building a library, and you can repurpose these videos too if you're doing educational type videos to share with your clients in different parts of the process as well. If it's an explainer video or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely for the long-term content library as well, but you do need to consistently post weekly.
Okay, we'll take one more. And this one, I think you kind of just sparked with what you said. But speaking of that, do you feel like YouTube will help you become more discoverable online overall? Will it actually help me to be found through ChatGPT?
Yes. Yep. Exactly. It indexes on Google. And so the more videos that you put out there, in fact, most of my website traffic, most of my leads, most of my website traffic is coming from Google search. And that is, I'm only like coming up in Google because of my YouTube videos. I have not given a ton of attention to my Google profile and even my website. And oftentimes I get leads that come from Google, according to my CRM. But really, when I talked to them, they said that they found my YouTube videos. But what happened was they searched me or they searched something on Google. It brought up my YouTube videos. And then they learned about me through YouTube. So it was technically a Google search, but it drove them to YouTube. Then they got the familiarity with me and then came to me that way. So it's very powerful in that sense. And I know that Instagram now, I think, indexes to Google as well.
Mm.
But with YouTube being part of Google, it's even more powerful in that way.
How much of the success from what you're doing would you say is actual content versus understanding like search and keywords and SEO?
So search and keywords can be important in the beginning because you don't have a lot going on there, but where you really start to get the exposure on YouTube is when YouTube starts recommending your content to others.
Mm.
And so that's where you want to get, and that just takes the reps putting that in. So in the beginning, search is important, but I don't even really care that much about my search or like my titles anymore, how they rank in search. I care more about how they relate to the video, how someone might be enticed to click on my video because of the title, not necessarily the words that they're searching. So short answer, search matters in the beginning, but it's not really that big of a deal as you've built your channel.
I think that's so much goodness. And I think that like if you don't understand the gold in that, because I feel like in real estate, we do like one thing and then it leads to another thing. And then we have to build this out and then we have to do this. And so I love that what you're saying is like when you're just doing this well, while that can help you to kind of have a good launching point, it's not the thing you don't have to go master something else. So I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. I was thrown off when I started getting these like alerts of like, you got a new lead from Google. I'm like, from Google? How? Where? But it's all tying back to YouTube. So, all right, so let's talk about consistency because this is the other thing of like, how am I supposed to do this once a week? But let me just ask you a question. If you're on Instagram and TikTok or Facebook and you're posting once a day or sometimes twice a day because they always recommend post 1 to 3 times a day on these platforms, 7 days a week. I think if you are able to do that or you seriously consider trying to do that, you can do one long form video a week on YouTube. It would actually be probably time saving because you don't have to think about that much content. It's just one video. So, what if I told you that it's not about time? It's actually about your system. And so this is where batch filming comes in, which I'm sure all of you guys have heard of if you've done anything in content, whatsoever. But this allows you to take that focused block of time and create multiple videos that now can be posted throughout the month. So remember, we're only trying to post 4 videos a month, and that's one a week if we're staying consistent. So how you can set this up, pick a consistent day each month where you're going to brainstorm and create your content. It could be like a 2-hour block on a Monday where you sit down and you plan out video topics and outlines or scripts on what you're going to do for that month. Then you want to pick that consistent day where you're going to film your content, whether you're filming this at home by yourself or at your office or out and about, or if you have a videographer, plan ahead to schedule that. But you can definitely film 4 long form videos in one batch and be done with it. You don't have to spend an entire day doing this. It could just be a few hours of your day. Then you need to you need to either set a particular day where you're going to do your editing or send your editing to an editor or your videos to an editor to get back to you by a certain day. So all of this is coming down to set that day on your calendar and do it during that time block. Just like with any other prospecting, right? You're going to cold call. If you're cold calling, what do they say? 9 to 12 every day should be the time where you're making cold calls. That's what I was taught. I'm not even asking you to do that 5 days a week, just one time a month. Sit down and block this to prep, one time a month to film, one time a month to either edit or get it back from your editor. Which brings me to my next piece. Oh my God, editing, because that's where everyone's like, I don't know. I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to edit. I don't have the budget to pay a videographer or an editor. We don't have to overcomplicate this, remember? So there's some options. This is like just scratching the surface. But if you're self-editing, CapCut is so easy. All of you guys have probably used CapCut in short form. You can edit your long form videos in CapCut as well. It works the same way. You're just snipping it, clipping out, deleting out the sections of where you either messed up or there's dead air or whatever. You can add transitions if you want. Descript is really easy because you're editing it based on the captions. So when you delete things that you said, it cuts the video along with it. So Descript is super easy for that. You can also find freelance editors that are not very expensive and very easy to work with. So Fiverr is where you can find one, or Upwork, and you can hire them on a per video basis. They might charge $30 for an edit, maybe $50 for an edit, depending on how involved and how long it is. But that is like a very easy way to just ship it out and get it done. They can also access B-roll for you. If you're looking for B-roll options, an editor will be able to incorporate all of that. You can also source that out on your own. There's a lot of free places where you can get free B-roll of different things. So on the editing side, don't let that stop you, because I know it seems overwhelming, but my very first video on YouTube, I recorded on Loom, and I talked through market statistics on Loom, and that was that. And I built from there. So sometimes it's about starting somewhere. You're never going to like your first video anyway, and then putting in the reps and starting to get better and changing and iterating along the way. So once you've gotten your videos planned, filmed, edited, now you need to post. And this can also be, you can do this in a batched way, or you can do it every single week. But consistency is key, because YouTube gives priority to those channels that upload content regularly. So you're going to start out by posting 1 video a week. If you ever want to do 2 a week, you can always add to it. But 1 video a week is perfectly fine to start to get some momentum. Prep your posts and schedule them out so you can actually put everything into YouTube, and you can schedule it for a posting day and time. So you can get done with this in one batch if you want to, Or every single week, you can go in there and prep it all for post and post if you set aside time on your calendar to do that. But whatever you do, you want to stick to it. So if it's always going to be on Fridays at 10 a.m., make sure you're always posting on Fridays at 10 a.m. And not really wavering from that too much. If it ends up being Friday at 1 p.m., okay, fine, but try to keep it at least on the same day, if possible. Again, we're just training YouTube and the algorithm to know I'm here to stay. I always post on these days. You can rely on my content, so share it with everyone you think who would like it, right? So that is kind of batching in a nutshell. And I highly recommend this if you feel overwhelmed on how am I going to make this content, because if you try to go week to week and fly by the seat of your pants, it will start to feel overwhelming, especially when it's new to you. So planning it all in advance and getting that month's worth of content ready to go. And then during that month, you're working on the next month of content, and you always have that cushion. Once you have started to, you get a good library on there, you get people watching your videos, you've gotten leads, you can go without posting 1 week if something comes up. There is some room for error, but the consistency in the beginning is really going to be important. So this covers those three hurdles: tech overwhelm. We kept it super simple. Idea paralysis. The key there is really identifying your client avatar and making content that's going to speak directly to them. And then consistency is that batch posting and filming, and prepping, right? So any questions on these at the moment, before I kind of put a bow on everything here, Randy?
Okay, if you're in the Zoom room, go ahead and drop those. But for the stream, we have, when you say batch filming, how far ahead are you personally trying to stay? Like a week, a month, etc.
So I would stay like I would I would film, let's just pretend you're starting your channel to launch in June. I would do your filming like this week. Let's assume you planned ahead, right? You're filming this week, or you're planning this week, you're filming next week, and then you're editing same week and being able to post all 4 weeks in June. You would do your next like content planning that first week of June and just start the process again. So you're always a month ahead. That would be my recommendation. That way you have 4 videos that are going out and you're working on the next 4 at that time.
Okay. Another one was, would you recommend learning basic editing myself first before outsourcing?
I think it depends on how much time you have and how willing you are to do it. I always self-edited for a very long time because I did have the time and my business was newer and I wasn't quite as busy. But when I got very busy, that was a really easy thing to leverage out. Because when you look at your dollar per hour, and if you pay someone $25 or $50 even for something that would take you 4 hours to edit, that return is just not really there. So it makes more sense to send it out at that point.
Okay, one other one we have is, how important is the first 30 seconds of the video?
Very important. Just like on short form, you need to have a hook with your long form. You have more time to do it in long form content on YouTube, but you still need to hook your audience. So on short form, it's like 2 to 3 seconds. On YouTube, you have like up to 30, like 25 to 30 seconds, really, to get someone interested in what you're talking about and kind of get to the point. So I teach this a lot. Don't do a big introduction. Don't have a like an intro video. Don't even introduce yourself or who you are in the very beginning. Just get right to the point about what the video is, and you'll have better retention.
That's good. Okay. One other question was, what are some signs that the channel's working before leads even come in?
So you always want to look at your analytics. The best way to look at analytics is when you have 90 days of information, but you can start looking after that first month. If you are getting views, obviously that's a good indication that people are watching. Engagement is even better. View count is going to be low. Like it's hard in the beginning. So it don't be discouraged, but it could be, like 10 views on one video. But if every video you post starts to kind of get a little bit more views than the previous one, and if you start to get some comments, then you're reaching the right audience. People are watching it and people are engaging with it. And then once you have more information, you can start looking, or more videos, you can start looking at those analytics for more information and see what the retention is on the videos. And the YouTube Studio gives you some really easy things to look at. It'll show you if performance is up or down on different factors too. So you can always pop in there to see what's going on.
Okay. This one I thought was really good. What about if there's already 2 to 3 agents successfully doing this in my market?
That's a great question. One of the things that I teach is to do a competitive analysis before you start your channel. See who's on YouTube in your market. What are they doing? Who are they talking to? What's their content like? And how would yours be different? Because just like with real estate, I think there's enough for everyone to go around. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So you are going to say stuff that is going to resonate with your audience differently than what they're going to say, even though it might be on the same topic. And people will choose to work with you over them because of either your style or your personality or whatever it is. So I think there's always room. I think it is very smart to get into it without blinders on, however, like know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, and know how you might be doing things a little bit different. So I take everyone through that in the course that I'm going to share, but also any coaching that I do. That's a big part of us, like setting up the channel and making sure we know what else is out there and how you fit into the mix.
Okay, so good. I think I think we've got most of the questions. If I missed any, don't worry. Caitlin exists inside of our Moms in Real Estate community. So she often is just showing up and delivering great value there, but you can also just connect with her directly on Facebook or Instagram. But tell us, like, if they're ready to go, they want this freedom of being able to build this business in this way. How do they move forward with you?
Yeah. So if you guys are serious about getting your YouTube channel started, I want to tell you about getting started on YouTube for realtors. And this is really for you if you want to start your channel, you don't know where to start, or you feel overwhelmed by the tech that we talked about today, and have no idea what content to post. So this is a course. It teaches you how to start your channel, and the idea is to get you on YouTube, get you your first video posted, gone through all the steps, so you now have a rinse and repeat process that you can use week to week. And it is a self-paced course, but it also comes with 3 months of support calls with me. So group support calls where I will answer any questions. I can audit your videos. We can talk through your strategy wherever you're at in the process. So it really is this kind of starter course, but it's really going to take you through kind of that first step. And then the idea is now just repeat it for everything else along the way. This is usually the course and the calls $555, but for the Moms in Real Estate group, I'm offering a discount for a limited time. So it's $355 if you register before the 16th, which is Saturday. And I'm going to leave this QR code here for everyone. And I think Randy will probably share the link as well. But you can get more information at the QR code there. You can register for the course there, which will come with those calls that I mentioned. And if you have questions, my Instagram handle's there too. I'm happy to chat with you on Instagram. I offer some more support and hands-on coaching if that's where you're at in your YouTube journey as well. I could share more about that. If you're looking for something a little bit more, involved. So, yeah, happy to answer any other questions that come through.
Well, thank you so much, friend. And thank you, ladies. Those of you that watched live as well as attended in the Zoom room. We're super excited, and we're excited to have you in the community, Caitlin. And everybody can hold me accountable from this point forward, because I'm going to do it. And I'm 23 years in. And I just think that this is such a much more life-giving way to build business. So I hope all of you ladies take advantage of this awesome opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun, and I am here for any questions, whether it be in the Facebook group or Instagram. You can find me there.
Awesome. Thank you, friend. Bye, ladies. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. Bye. Thanks.